Kazuya is an ugly loser who becomes depressed after his mother dies in a mysterious accident. But his luck hits a massive power-up when his dirty laundry turns into a certified baddie who's about to turn this bot into a server-clearing gigachad. It all kicks off with Kazuya dreaming about a mysterious girl in an obi, and even though he's never met her, his brain is already tweaking with familiarity. As soon as the baddie disappears, he wakes up in the middle of class, accidentally conducting a physical inspection of the class rep's flat surfboard, which is a mistake because she immediately packs him up for being a total creep. He retreats to the school roof to sniff his late mom's obi, realizing it's the same gear from his dream, only to find a random wig rotting on the floor. He tries to ignore it at first, but the wig suddenly gains a consciousness and starts restraining him like he's in a toxic lobby before yeeting him off the roof into the abyss. Before he can process his life flashing before his eyes, his mother's heirloom moves on its own, providing a soft landing so he doesn't take a massive L from gravity. Just then, a blue-haired waifu named Kiriha spawns out of the cloth, and when he asks for her gamatag, she hits him with a headbutt that sends his hardware to sleep. Kazuya wakes up to see a mysterious girl about to finish his subscription, but Kiriha pulls him out of the hitbox just in time. She demands he serve her for eternity if he wants to keep breathing. And after he accepts the toxic contract, Kiriha proceeds to give the wig girl the legendary 90s housewife treatment. However, the wig girl stands back up to attack Kazuya directly. And even though Kiriha puts her shield up, our boy still takes some massive physical damage. This infuriates Kiriha so much she decides to delete the wig girl from the server. But right before the killing blow connects, Kazuya screams for her to stop. Later, Kiriha reveals the girl was just a low-tier NPC possessed by an evil wig that feeds on desire, explaining that if Kazuya had been captured, he would have been milked until his sacks were completely empty. Bro is actually feeling flattered that someone wants his milk, which is a mistake because Kiriha reveals that the baddie is actually a boy in disguise. Shocked that he almost simped for a dude, he asks for more lore, but she literally vanishes into thin air. He returns home and immediately hits the bed, still trying to process how his mid-existence got so unhinged today. After a short nap, he wakes up to find Kiriha sleeping next to him, causing him to scream like he saw a ghost. She explains she's the spirit of his mom's heirloom and he better start calling her master. But Kazuya pulls an Uno reverse card, claiming since he owns the cloth, he's actually the server admin. Kiriha ignores the logic and demands snacks because this baddie needs her fuel, while Kazuya politely begs her not to wreck his room while he goes to eat with his sister. His sister Kasumi keeps hearing suspicious noises from upstairs, but Kazuya has to gaslight her into thinking everything is totally normal. He returns to find his room looking like a tornado hit it, but Kiriha is nowhere to be found. Thinking she logged off, he heads to the shower to wash away the salt, only to get a 4K view of Kiriha's entire package. He starts imagining all the ways she can isekai him for being a creep, but she just orders him to scrub her back like a good little servant. She helps him clean up too, mentioning they used to do this before his memory card got corrupted. But Kazuya has zero recollection of the grind. She then notices that he's packing a massive unit down south, so she decides to give him a hands-on manual circumcision that leaves him crying all night long. After the surgery, she forces a co-op sleep session, reminding him they've always shared a bed. He notices she smells like flowers, which reminds him of his mom and helps him relax. But then she cuddles up, and Kazuya stays awake alongside his newly circumcised soldier. The next morning, she blows in his ear to wake him, but he assumes it's his sister and tells her to beat it. This is a critical mistake because Kiriha steps on his coconuts and smashes his alarm clock for being annoying. Because of that, he loads into the school lobby late, which earns him another aggressive evaluation from the class rep, Chisato. While taking his L, he remembers Kiriha's unhinged behavior at home, recalling how she broken the clock and demanded to join him on his school side quest. He knew she'd turn him into a laughing stock with her main character antics, so he tricked her into becoming an obi again by offering a challenge. He then wrapped her in a plastic bag and tied her in a box, successfully trapping the baddie at home. At school, he's still laughing about his high IQ play, while his friends Osamu and Shiro think he's officially lost his mind. Shiro tells them a rumor about a hairy ghost monster appearing after hours, but Osamu calls cap on the story. Kazuya realizes they're talking about the wig demon from yesterday, which is the perfect chance to imagine clapping his crush in a dark alley. Suddenly, Chisato spawns behind them and claps all three of them for not submitting their reports yet. The boys try to copy Osamu's homework, but Chisato drags Kazuya to the library to force him to lock in. She watches him closely, and seeing him actually working brings out her inner Pookie energy. She recalls how she used to carry him through exams when they were younger, and she gets all shy, asking if she can still come over to teach him some unholy math. Kazuya is about to say yes, but then he remembers the devil incarnate waiting at his base. He declines the request, finishing his work so he can put his books away. But they soon realize the library door is locked from the outside. Just then, Kazuya spots Kiriha standing next to him and lets out a scream, making Chisato think he's having a midlife crisis. He asks why she hasn't logged off yet, and she reveals that the entire building is trapped in a glitchy lockdown. He checks every exit himself, confirming they're stuck, while Kiriha waits for him to beg for her help. But Kazuya notices she's going full commando under her skirt, so he hides her behind the shelves before things get too spicy. She asks if he's looking for some sloppy toppy, but when he rejects the crazy chick, she gives him the housewife treatment again. She reveals the lockdown is the work of a spirit, explaining that while she's a Sugumomo from an object, the other ones are Amasogi born from brainrot desires. Kazuya realizes they're trapped, but Kiriha is clueless since she didn't do this. She tries to act all high and mighty on a desk, waiting for Kazuya to beg for help. But she's wearing a short skirt with zero protection, so Kazuya has to tactical carry her behind the shelves. Kiriha stops using her brain and goes the brawn route, shattering the plane of reality with her power. They find themselves in an infinite library, where the books combine to become a literate version of Optimus Prime. They try to run like total losers, and even though Kiriha takes all the credit, the monster breaks through the wall, proving she's the actual target of this targeted harassment. The monster ignores Chisato and goes straight for Kiriha, making her realize what's actually happening. She realizes Chisato created this mess because Kazuya rejected her house visit. So he finally accepts the invite, causing the monster to evaporate from the server. They return to reality, and Kazuya tells Chisato he finally understands her desire. But the idiot mistakes her love for a passion for teaching math, leaving her with massive emotional damage. And Chisato totally buys their cover story. Kiriha explains the monster was just a reality distortion caused by malison, which is like a glitch in the simulation. It reacts to people's unhinged wills, and since the density in the library was higher than a Discord mod's ego, she knows something is wrong. She leaks the intel that every region has a local god to prevent this, blaming the goddess Kukuri for being a total slacker and letting things get messy. But they quickly realize the whole library is aggroing on them. Kiriha finally stops playing smart and goes full brawn mode, showing off magical powers that leave Chisato absolutely shook. Soon after, Kiriha shatters reality, dumping them into an infinite library dimension. Immediately after, the books turn hostile, and Kiriha has to deploy her shields. When they combine into a literate Optimus Prime, Kiriha decides it's time to yeet themselves out of there. Soon after, they reach a dead end but lose the monster, with Kiriha naturally stealing all the credit. But the beast pulls a Here's Johnny through the wall, leading to a round 2. The monster tries to attack Chisato, but the books actually protect her, making Kiriha realize she's the only actual target of this glitch. She tells Kazuya to big brain their last convo and find a clue. Kazuya remembers that Chisato wanted to come to his home, but he rejected her. Kiriha reveals that Chisato accidentally spawned this dungeon because her wish was denied. Kazuya invites her over to teach him, and the whole nightmare dimension immediately despawns. The squad finds themselves back in the library, and Kazuya tells Chisato he finally understands her. Except he thinks she just loves teaching, completely missing her romantic feelings, leaving her feeling absolutely disappointed. On the weekend, Chisato pulls up to Kazuya's house and finds him sleeping with Kiriya. She immediately loses it and asks why he's still in bed, only to realize Kiriya broke yet another clock. After things settle down, Chisato apologizes for the mess, but Kiriya says it's all good. She explains the malison, basically reality warping glitches otherwise known as the gaps. It reacts to people's wills to shape a new reality around it. But usually, that reality is super limited. However, since their encounter was huge, she concludes that there was an abnormally high density of malacine present in the library. Kiriya reveals there's a system to stop this, and every area has a local god assigned to it. The local deity is Kukuri, and Kiriya blames him for the whole incident. Meanwhile, Shiro runs into a mommy goddess with absolute bazookas who mistakes him for Kazuya. He tells her she's got the wrong guy, but her sketch of Kazuya is basically a carbon copy. He offers to help her find him, mostly because he's hoping to get crushed between those cannons. He says they're bros, and he'll take her to him if she fulfills his request. Flashback to a few years ago when Kazuya was out cold, and Kukuri was tending to him with Kiriya. But because his spiritual energy was overflowing like a broken fire hydrant, she decided to wipe his memory card and seal his powers. Which meant Kiriya would lose her baddie form since he'd forget her, but she agreed to it anyway just to save this loser's life. Even if it meant she'd spend the next few years as a literal piece of laundry. Fast forward to the present, Kazuya is heading to school when his dad tells him to be back early for dinner, probably to discuss why he's such an NPC. So our boy walks to class with his sentient laundry baddie hiding in his backpack. But the second he spawns in, Shiro hits him with a catching-lacking dropkick. Fuming because Kazuya left him to deal with that busty mommy Kokuyu at a cafe yesterday, which was a total financial disaster. Because even though the mommy wanted to finish her mission, Shiro bribed her with snacks to keep the date going. But hold up, Kokuyu is a certified munch who ordered the entire menu and ate more than a whole mukbang streamer, earning herself a standing ovation from the shop owner and a free cake like she just won a title belt. She dipped while the crowd was glazing her, leaving poor Shiro to pay a bill so high it basically deleted his bank account. Later, Kokuyu pulls up to a shrine where goddess Kukuri starts tweaking at her for forgetting the main quest. But the mommy argues that she was living on grass and water like a brokey and couldn't resist the calories. Kukuri tells her to stop being a bot and wait for Kazuya to leave school tomorrow before she starts the next boss fight. At school, Shiro is trying to arm wrestle Kazuya for his lunch because he's officially a broke boy, but suddenly, the whole lobby starts crashing out because everyone's lunch has been deviously licked. Chisato worries another spirit is griefing the server, but Kazuya thinks it's just a common thief. Right on cue, Kokuyu breaches the classroom clutching everyone's food and demanding to see Kazuya, causing Shiro to panic because she's the one who used him as a human credit card yesterday. He demands his money back, but she tells him she's broke and offers to let him fondle her massive plots instead. Shiro tries to get unholy, but Chisato hits him with a flying kick that sends him straight back to the spectator list. Kokuyu tells Kazuya to come with her, but Kiriya spawns in her baddie form and refuses to share her servant with some random mommy. Kokuyu calls her a washcloth girl, which is a massive roast. And Kiriya gets so triggered, she's ready to end her subscription right then and there. Kazuya stops the classroom from being demolished, so Kiriya suggests they settle the beef with an arm wrestling match. They take it to the roof, and if Kiriya takes the L, she has to escort this mommy back to the shrine. Kiriya tells the students to move the furniture because they're playing by baddie rules, meaning they just use one hand to violently chop at each other like absolute maniacs. And after a battle that would make your GPU melt, Kiriya catches the W. Jaws are on the floor, but then the teacher barges in to stop the brain rot, asking why no one is in their seats. Shiro tries to play it off like they were just in the middle of an arm wrestling match. But when they turn around, both Kiriya and the mommy goddess have vanished. Meanwhile, the girls are escorting Kazuya and Chisato to the shrine. Along the way, Kazuya starts feeling some serious deja vu. Soon enough, they reach the Hakusen shrine, where they come face to face with the goddess Kukuri. Kukuri asks why the mommy goddess brought Kiria along, and she admits she lost a bet. She praises Kiria's skills, but Kiria reminds her she's currently leading with 125 wins. Kukuri calls Cap, claiming the record is actually 123 wins and 1 draw in her favor. They start a toxic gamer argument that literally spawns a thunderstorm. They pause the beef as Kiria asks why the seal broke early. Kukuri reveals the seal isn't fully shattered, and Kazuya's forbidden memories are still locked away. Still, Kiria tells her to repatch the seal before things get even worse. Kukuri says she can't do that just yet, and drafts Kazuya to oversee the region's exorcism phenomenon. She tells him to clean the area's malice, but Kiria tells her to stop with the sadistic jokes. Kukuri says she's dead serious and asks if he's noticed anything weird lately. When he says yes, she asks why all these strange events keep spawning around him. Turns out Kazuya is a literal beacon for the Malison, putting everyone near him in the danger zone. Kiria tries to dip, but an invisible wall blocks them, and Kukuri won't let them leave until it's settled. She takes off a mask and prepares to handle this the hard way. So Kiria immediately yeets Chisato to safety so she isn't caught in the crossfire. Dark clouds roll in as Kukuri tells them to enjoy their final moments. She uses her water magic to attack, but Kiria creates a shield to block it. Kukuri shatters the double layer with a powerful water spear. Kiria grows wings and carries Kazuya away, dodging everything midair. After getting hit, she decides it's time to go on the offensive. But the goddess is way too op, and Kiria takes some heavy damage. She stands up again, and even when Kazuya begs her to stop, she refuses to give up on her MC. Kukuri pulls a Madara and summons a giant water planet that crushes them both. Kiria manages to protect Kazuya using a dome. But she's so drained, she literally shrinks into a lowly. Kukuri offers a surrender, but she'd rather die than give Kazuya up. Kazuya tells her not to push it, but she's not listening. And the boss fight continues. This time Kiria can't block the impact and passes out inside the dome. As they get flooded, Kazuya wakes up in a dream world with a mysterious woman. She admits that Kukuri is one tough cookie, and that Kiria just doesn't know when to quit. She starts roasting Kiria, but Kazuya gets annoyed and tries to walk away. The woman stops him and tells him to save his girl, explaining she's bound by an old contract. She tells him to stop being a beta and get strong so he can actually protect her. She reveals he can unlock his powers by using Kiria's real name and waiting for an ultimate move. He's confused about the name, but she says it's already in his brain and wishes him luck. Kazuya wakes up to a kiss from Kiria, but Kukuri is already prepping another attack. Kazuya tells Kiria to turn back into an obi since she's totally spent. But she tells him to pipe down because he's just her servant. He commands her to return to her obi form using her true name Maya Sakura, and she actually does it. She starts slapping him since he has to fight this goddess solo now. But Kazuya knows he'll be fine as long as he's got his girl with him. He faces Kukuri and fails his first attempt to use her, making Kiria lose it. But he quickly locks in, prompting Kukuri to use her twisting water worm attack. Kazuya remembers the advice and casts a shield. But Kiria warns him it won't stop the worm. However, when the worm attacks, Kazuya bends the shield to create an arrowhead and defeats it instantly. Then he charges the goddess with a spiral weave. She blocks with an ice wall, but Kazuya drills right through it. Kiria somehow manages to get a hold of the goddess, holding an ice pick to her throat to force Kazuya to surrender. To save her, Kazuya accepts the cleansing duty, and Kukuri finally lets her go. The clouds vanish as Kazuya holds his girl, while the others descend. The goddess says she has high hopes for him, but her mask falls off, turning her into a tiny lowly with zero aura. She's totally embarrassed and begs them to look away. But Kiria laughs, realizing her power was just a gimmick tied to that mask. She snatches the mask and proceeds to give the lowly goddess some special treatment. That evening, she reveals it was all a ruse to make Kazuya command Kiria properly. She knew Kiriya was stubborn, so she made Kazuya use her real name so she'd actually serve him. Hearing this pisses Kiriya off, and she turns Kukuri into a Beyblade. Later, Kazuya carries Kiriya home as they apologize to Chisato for the trauma. After they go their ways, Kazuya promises to Kiriya that he will do his best on the malice and cleansing job, and says he's counting on her help. Back at the shrine, Kukuri recalls how Kiriya asked her to watch over Kazuya, and she wonders if it's really the best course of action. However, Kokuyu reminds her that they have bigger things to worry about, like their entire house being blown away. That night, Kazuya notices that Kiriya has turned into a shorty, and she angrily tells him that it will take some time for her to recover. Kazuya then decides to check her for wounds, but she believes he's trying to smash and exposes her entire collection. Later, he washes her back in the shower and shampoos her hair, and Kiriya enjoys the pleasures of being small once again. She even flaps her foot in the bathtub because it's much bigger for her now, while also recalling how Kazuya used his mother Kanaka's technique during their fight with Kukuri. She also recalls how many years ago, Kanaka asked her to take care of little Kazuya if anything happened to her. But she thought nobody could actually damage a tank like that, which is why she's currently passing out in the tub like a total noob, forcing Kazuya to drag her out before her battery hits zero, fanning her just so she doesn't permanently log off. She wakes up and starts capping about meeting her maker just to bait the boy into buying her a pudding snack. And after realizing her old skins don't fit her nerfed lowly body, Kazuya asks his sister for some backup armor, which is a massive mistake because Kasumi thinks her brother has officially joined the Diddler Association and tries to pack him up until he tactical retreats from the room. He pings Chisato for help, and while she's busy being a Pookie, he meets up with his degenerate friend Osamu, who delivers the new fit, reminding him that in this house, age is just a number. Bro returns to the base with the loot and some pudding for the blue-haired menace, but she opens the bag to find clothes that would literally be redacted in the Epstein files. After getting his jaw checked by Kiriya, Kazuya admits he got the gear from his wannabe mob friend, who's a certified Goone. Next morning, Kiriya demands he starts looksmaxing his combat stats so he can actually do his job as a spirit janitor. But when Kazuya tries to skip the tutorial, she attempts to attack him, only for her special moves to fail to load, which is a huge problem because she admits her power bar has been flashing red ever since the goddess fight, meaning she can't carry his useless bum anymore if a wild monster appears. She forces him into the training arc so he can learn how to swing a cloth without looking like a bot, roasting his turtle-paced cardio and telling him to stop being a total twink. She reverts to her Obi skin, demanding he recreate that legendary fluke move he used against the water goddess. But Kazuya fumbles the controls and realizes he has 0 points in the shield-weaving skill tree. Kiriya is radiating pure crash-out energy because they made 0 progress today, failing to understand how this NPC clutched up during the actual raid. That night, they hit the shower for a lore dump on how her species actually functions, explaining that Sugumomo need a human player to reach max capacity, otherwise they're just sentient laundry. Taking a baddie form lets them skip the wielder requirement, but she wraps herself around him and asks for a vibe check on her texture, to which he admits she's soft and warm. She reveals they have 4K human anatomy in this form, so a headshot will still send them to the graveyard, meaning fatal injuries for us are also game over for them. If his mom's favorite belt gets shredded beyond repair, she's cooked, though she hasn't pushed her HP limits past minor scratches yet. Suddenly, she notices Kazuya Jr. is also paying attention to her lessons, causing the boy to scream about natural biological reactions and cover his shame. While they chill in the bath, she leaks the info that her power comes from their mutual bond, admitting she didn't even respect him as her owner until he finally grew a pair. She used up all her life support energy just to win the fight, which is why she's currently stuck in this short king form. The water goddess also caught a massive nerf, so they decide to focus on the basics, even as Kukuri is tweaking at the shrine because she's broke and nobody is giving charity to a child-sized deity. She tries to rizz up some construction workers, but they just put a band-aid on the roof and tell her to call when she has actual bread. Kazuya is back to failing shield practice, so Kiriha rearranges his face with a kick for being a slow bot. Kyukuri is also being a total sloppy noob in her new form. And when a massive storm pulls up, the goddess can't do anything to save her base from being deleted. The whole shrine collapses into pixels, and Kokuyu says she has a devious new spot in mind for them to spawn. The next day, the duo is grinding under a bridge when they're joined by the nerfed deities. But Kyukuri thinks Kazuya's training is way too basic for a guy who almost ended her subscription. Kiriha admits his first W was a total fluke, and bro can't even lift a simple rock right now, sending the goddess into a panic because she already assigned this bot as the server's official cleaner. Kiriha follows them and finds out their new shrine is literally just a sandbox in a playground, which is the perfect excuse to mock them until they cry, while reminding them that the local spirit density is about to get toxic. The next morning, Kazuya gets summoned to the admin office, where he meets President Todata, who reveals he was the hairy wig victim from day one. The Prez says he's not into the rainbow lifestyle, but he's making an exception for Kazuya because bro is built like a premium twink. Kiriha is bored of the love story and orders him to get to the main quest. So he leaks intel about a role-playing club that's haunting the school. They run into Osamu, who immediately thinks Kazuya is out here diddling his new lowly cousin. Until they notice the entire club room has literally vanished from the server files. Kiriha realizes her weather forecast was 2 months old, meaning there's a massive glitch in the matrix right now. They hit an illusory wall in the hallway, and the club president Nakajima pulls up, demanding his guild be official or he'll summon a minotaur to delete them all. The squad gets trapped, but Kazuya realizes the nerd's diary is the source of the monster. So they use a fire extinguisher to blind the beast, while bro uses his training to snatch the book. They make him tear it up, but the guy pulls a light Yagami move and uses a hidden page to summon a second boss. But Osamu is playing 4D chess and already swapped the diary for a fake, using the real one to spawn a massive dragon that one-shots the Minotaur. Then Osamu decides to be a total Goone and draws a thicker version of Kiriha, who immediately manifests and starts stomping on Kazuya's jewels for the clout. They finally delete the book for real, and the sexy illusion disappears along with Kazuya's sanity. A few cycles later, some guy named Hiroshi tries to rizz up Chisato with a love letter, but she hits him with a massive L. She admits she already likes someone else, and our hyping MC is too slow to realize she's talking about him. Chisato starts tweaking because she thinks he was spying, but Kiriha finds a literal voodoo doll in her bag. Chisato claims it's nothing, while the rejected guy is in a dark room preparing to crash out. Kazuya realizes a diary is the source of the glitch, allowing them to counter it with a fire extinguisher. Once the guy rejoins them, Kazuya uses his training to close the distance and snatch the cursed item away. He explains the danger and makes him tear it up since he was the one who created it. However, the guy has stolen a page like Light Yagami and uses it to create a new Minotaur. Too bad for him, Osamu had already swapped the book for a fake, keeping the real op item for himself. He draws a legendary dragon that absolutely deletes the Minotaur in a single shot. After the battle, the squad regroups in the student council room. Osamu draws a thick version of Kiriha with extra plot, and she immediately starts stomping on Kazuya's weak point. While Kazuya is suffering, they force Nakajima to tear up the book for real, making the clone Kiriha despawn. A few days later, a guy named Hiroshi drops a love letter to Chisato, but our girl hits him with a polite refusal while the duo watches. When he asks if it's because he's an ugly NPC, she blushes and admits she's already caught feelings for someone else. Kazuya is actually shook by this, while Kiriha just sighs because our MC is a total blockhead. Later, Chisato is helping him with homework when he mentions he saw the whole confession. Chisato starts tweaking, thinking he was spying, but when he asks who her crush is, she just turns into a tomato and tells him to buzz off. While he's teasing her, Kiriha raids her bag for snacks, but finds a literal voodoo doll instead. Chisato gets super anxious, but when Kazuya asks about it, she tries to play it cool and says it's nothing. Meanwhile, Hiroshi is in his villain arc, fuming in a dark room over the rejection. Suddenly, his computer screen lights up with a mysterious message. The next day, Kazuya arrives at school to find love in the air, but he's still living that lonely solo life. On his way to the hall, a girl comes sprinting in and bumps right into him. After a classic accidental glimpse, fanservice moment, she starts screaming at him for being a creep. Suddenly, a dialogue box pops up, giving Kazuya different options to choose from like he's in a dating sim. He panics and picks the worst option, earning him a slap and an angry exit from the girl. Kazuya makes it to class and realizes the whole school is acting like love-struck NPCs. He asks Shiro what kind of madness is going on. Shiro explains the myth: confess under the cherry tree and you're guaranteed a jaw ride to paradise. Ignoring his yapping, Kazuya learns from Kiriya that this is actually a gal game Amasagi glitching reality. After the dating sim 101 crash course, Kazuya spots Hiroshi and Chisato hanging out in the halls. When he tries to talk to her, Chisato starts acting super weird and cold. She even tells Hiroshi that Kazuya is scaring her. Kazuya loses his chill, grabs Hiroshi, and asks what kind of cheat code he used on her, only for Chisato to slap him for bullying her new favorite guy. Hiroshi acts like a total Chad, telling Kazuya to give up because his pure heart stats are just better. Kiriya immediately realizes Hiroshi is the one holding the Amasagi item. Kazuya rushes to intercept him before he tries to take things to the next level with Chisato. But Hiroshi summons his fan club NPCs to jump Kazuya and protect their leader. After getting folded, Kazuya splits up from Kiriya to find a way to break the simulation. He heads straight to Osamu in the manga club for some expert advice. Osamu reveals he's a sweaty veteran of dating sims and breaks down the whole mechanic on a whiteboard. He explains the exact way to achieve max affection with any target. With his Riz stats boosted by Osamu's training, Kazuya hunts down Chisato in the halls. She's still annoyed, telling him she's busy going to meet Hiroshi. Suddenly, a free speech option opens up, letting him use their years of childhood lore to appeal to her. He asks for help with a math problem, hitting her with that classic student mode bait. It works like a charm, and she blushes as she agrees to help him. Later, Kazuya tries another move, grabbing her hands and telling her they're beautiful. But his Riz fails miserably, and Osamu tells him he needs to time his special attacks better. The squad invites her for lunch, but Chisato is still being a total tsundere about the whole thing. Osamu hits her with a flattering response, making her blush enough to open her lunchbox and give Kazuya another choice. This time, he says her cooking reminds him of his mom's, which is basically a critical hit on her heart. She gives him a bite of her food. So Kazuya stands up and declares he wants to eat her cooking every day for the rest of his life. This hits her so hard she short-circuits for a second before asking where Kiriya is. Osamu realizes a free speech event is live, and Kazuya accidentally says Kiriya is napping in gym clothes. He loses all his built-up points instantly, but Osamu tells him to stay calm, the run isn't dead yet. But Kazuya keeps yapping nonsense until Chisato officially hates his guts again. After that epic fail, they regroup in the club room where Kiriya admits she couldn't find the source item. Osamu tells them they've exhausted all the legit methods, but they can still use a game-breaking bug to hit max affection with Chisato. The bug triggers right before the big confession, and if Kazuya locks in, he can overthrow Hiroshi for good. Osamu tells him to think of the ultimate trigger item to bring her back to her senses. Just as Hiroshi is about to secure the W, Kazuya sprints in and interrupts the confession. He pulls out 2 old dolls from his bag. One belongs to Chisato, and he asks her to play house with him again. This hits her with a massive wave of childhood nostalgia. Back then, Kazuya quit playing because he didn't want to look like a loser. However, Chisato asked him to keep one of the dolls so they could play with it later if he wanted. This memory completely maxes out her heart meter for Kazuya. She starts crying happy tears and dives straight into Kazuya's arms, leaving Hiroshi as a forever virgin while the Chad Kazuya takes the prize. Hiroshi runs away in a tilt, so Kiria goes to hunt him down while the main pair heads to the infirmary. Chisato checks on him, and Kazuya admits he's just drained from the long day. As he closes his eyes, she hops into the bed next to him. Suddenly, he wakes up tied to the bed with Chisato on top, trying to finally end his single era. Meanwhile, the squad finds Hiroshi in the computer lab where the game source is hidden. Osamu reveals this PC version is the adult R-rated build, meaning things are about to get spicy. They destroy the server just in time, right as Kazuya and Chisato were about to visit Pound Town. The next day things are super awkward, and Kazuya refuses to spill the beans about what actually happened in that infirmary. Kiria then heads to Kukuri's new shrine to torture her for the fake reports, and the lowly goddess is full of apologies. Kazuya tries to tell Kiria to chill out, but she keeps spanking Kukuri until Kokoyo arrives in a uniform, saying she's moving out. She reveals they're broke and need money to fix the shrine and cover expenses. So she's officially taken on a part-time job. Kukuri tries to fight back with her mask, but she can only summon a tiny puddle. Kiria laughs and locks her in the walls of Jericho until Kazuya bribes her with pudding to let go. She lets the goddess go, and while Kazuya is out on a snack run, the two girls have a real talk. Kiria asks why her stats are so depleted lately. But Kukuri plays coy, saying she'll reveal the truth when the timing is right. Kiria gets serious, demanding to know why Kazuya is being forced into the exorcism grind. They start arguing again, but Kukuri settles it by offering to build sandcastles instead. However, some bratty NPCs destroy it, and Kiria immediately goes on a revenge quest to teach them a lesson. Kazuya comes back with pudding and is just confused as to why his girl is chasing random kids. Later, Kiria makes Kukuri bathe her since she was too shy to let Kazuya into the shower. Kukuri notices Kiria's plot is growing along with her height, meaning her spiritual energy is coming back. Once in the tub, Kiria asks again why Kukuri is so weak. But she refuses to talk, leading to another splashing match on the spot. They end up totally exhausted, so Kazuya has to fan them both down before sending Kukuri back to the park. That night at dinner, Kazuya tries to sneak food to his room, but his sister thinks he's hiding a stray cat. Suddenly, he realizes Kiria is already chillin' at the table with the whole family. Turns out both his sister and his dad already know exactly who she is. His dad tells the story of how he tried to give a love letter to Kazuya's mom back in school. But Kiria literally tore it up right in front of him. Every time he tried to hold her hand or be romantic, Kiria was there to cockblock him. She ruined his entire love life for years, and the poor man is still terrified of her. Later, Kazuya decides to bring some pudding to Kukuri and Kokoyo at the park. But the park is a wreck, and Kukuri dives into Kiria's arms while crying her eyes out. Kokoyo explains that some kid got hurt on the slide, so the government deleted the whole park for safety. Kiria realizes the kid got hurt because she was chasing him earlier. So she decides to bring the homeless gods into Kazuya's house. They hold a family meeting where the sister refuses to let her brother live with those massive cannons. His dad tries to say no too, but Kiria starts reading his old cringe love letters until the man folds like a lawn chair. The next morning, Kazuya heads to the shower, only to walk in on Kokoyo and her massive plot on full display. He immediately backs away, apologizing for the accidental fan service. But Kokoyo is totally chill with it, saying she's grateful for him taking them in. After that, Kiria drags Kukuri to another goddess's shrine to try and borrow some cash. Tagori opens the doors and sucks them inside to introduce herself. Kukuri reluctantly asks for a loan to cover their expenses, and Tagori agrees to let her have it if she wins a game of concentration. Kukuri knows this is a trap and whispers to Kiria to stay on high alert. Kiria goes first and pulls 2 high-value cash cards instantly. But then Kazuya flips 2 cards that demand freaky actions, making Kiria absolutely lose her cool. Turns out Tagori made this game to satisfy her degenerate fetishes. She's literally a diddle with lolies type of goddess. Kiria tries to yeet herself out of there, but Kukuri tells her to stay because they desperately need that bag. The game resumes with Kukuri flipping cards, and she loses her turn after revealing 2 more freaky cards. Lastly, it's the final boss Taguri's turn, and she flips the double smooching cards, leaving our girls terrified for their V cards. Taguri targets Kukuri for this round and proceeds to give her a legendary kiss that basically short-circuits her brain. Then she pulls the candy stick game cards, using the Pocky challenge to get a literal taste of Kiriha's candy. She keeps matching these degenerate cards, making the girls ascend to another dimension multiple times until only 1 card remains. She pulls half of the full-body massage card, and since she's got the whole board memorized, Kiriha pulls a tactical bathroom break to distract her. While she's gone, Kukuri tries to shuffle the card positions, but the moment Taguri returns, she realizes they've been cheating. She spots the fingerprints on the cards and threatens a grave punishment if they don't pull the correct one. By some miracle, Taguri pulls the wrong card and finally realizes the cards weren't actually moved at all. Turns out Kukuri just wiped the prints and applied them to random cards. Big brain move. Kiriha proudly announces that they've secured the W. Only for Taguri to point at the rules, stating that touching cards out of turn is a major ban. Since the remaining cards belong to the house, she proceeds to diddle the girls until their knees literally give out. But hey, they walk away with 175k yen in the end, which is enough to kickstart the shrine rebuild arc. A few days later, Kiriha is hogging the cable TV to watch a comedy show. When Kazuya's dad asks to watch sports, she hits him with a death stare that forces the poor guy to use a radio instead. But when she starts laughing like a maniac, Kasumi kills the power and tells her to start doing chores like a good NPC. Kiriha tries to refuse, but Kasumi threatens to ban the pudding supply, forcing our op lowly into her housewife phase. After spending the day prepping, Kasumi realizes they're out of sauce. So she sends our MC Kazuya to the store to grab some. He takes both lowlies with him, and they start drooling the second they see the mountain of snacks on display. Once there, Kukuri helps Kazuya grab all the ingredients, and when she notices a couple in the store, she starts daydreaming of marrying Kazuya and having a love life with him. Just then, Kiriha shows up with a basket full of pudding. But when Kazuya returns them to the store, she starts singing a sad song, which attracts the attention of the whole store. In the end, Kazuya folds and buys her a pack, which makes her instantly forget the drama. On the way to the counter, Kukuri spots her favorite snacks but decides to be a queen and not trouble our MC. But hold up, they hit a massive queue because the local Gooners are all trying to catch Kokuyo's massive plot assets in 4K while she's on her shift. Shift finally over, the squad teleports back to base for a dinner that actually looks high tier, unlike Kazuya's mid-existence. Kiriha immediately speedruns to the fridge for her pudding fix, leaving the nerfed goddess looking like she just took a massive L. But Kazuya actually locks in for once, dropping her favorite snack on the table. Telling her she earned the bonus loot for being a good girl and not crashing out at the store. Fast forward to the next day, Kazuya is somehow in the tub with multiple baddies, which is a total glitch in the Matrix. Here's how we got here. Bro pulled up to school only to see his loser friend Shiro out here with W-Riz, bagging every female NPC in the lobby. Chisato tries to drop some manners on them, but the girls literally tell her to kick rocks because they're all under spell. Osamu knows Shiro is a zero or a bot, so he deduces that this is some supernatural hacks or a devious lick. Suddenly, Kiriha pops out of the backpack, sensing that the spirit malice density is spiking because the server is currently bugged. Kazuya has to be the server janitor, so he confronts Shiro for using a legendary Riz item to fake his way to the top of the leaderboard. He tells Shiro this fake love is just brain rot and orders him to delete the item before things get unhinged. But Shiro is tweaking, swearing the ladies finally recognized his inner Giga Chad. However, Bro accidentally leaks that he's using a magical cologne to looksmax his pheromones, which causes the entire class to switch to aggro mode and jump him. Kazuya manages a clutch save, but all the other boys have turned into thirsty zombies because they're down bad for that sloppy toppy energy. Kazuya grabs the Riz Lord and tactical retreats, dodging these hairy zombies like he's playing a survival horror game. The zombies try to breach the classroom windows, so Kazuya finally crashes out and beats the living bejesus out of every single NPC. Once the lobby is clear, he ties Shiro up and demands a full lore dump on the situation. Shiro admits he was getting rejected, so much he was speedrunning his way to permanent L with every girl in school. Frustrated at being a zero-ris bot, he bought some sketchy perfume advertised to attract certified baddies. He tried to bin it, but the perfume started yapping at him, and that's how he successfully hacked the server to become popular. Kazuya warns him to delete the bottle himself, or the server admin will hit him with a massive atonement debuff. After one last look at his fake glory, Shiro smashes the bottle in a fit of rage. But physics says no, and the juice splashes all over Kazuya, making every woman in a 5-mile radius lock onto him like a heat-seeking missile. He makes it to his base and finds his sister Kasumi, who somehow has a no-simp passive ability and isn't affected. He figures he's safe and heads to the shower to wash away the Goone juice. But boom, Kasumi enters with her plots exposed, followed by the busty mommy Kokuyo, who wants to give him a manual cleanup. The other girls join the lobby too, making him bust 3 times before playing rock, paper, scissors to see who gets a taste of his sausage first. Somehow, he finds the strength to smash the bottle himself and finally resets the server. But Shiro catches the atonement debuff, ending up with a body odor that smells worse than a Discord mod who hasn't touched grass in a decade. A few days later, Kazuya is grinding his training at the shrine with the nerfed goddess. He's making some gains, but his combat stats are still pretty trash compared to a pro. Because he's acting like a total bot, Kiriha decks him and orders 100 laps around the base as punishment. Next morning, Kazuya is AFK in class when Osamu pulls up to see if his hardware is failing. He admits the blue-haired freak is bullying him 24/7, and he's currently on 1% battery. Suddenly, the intercom pings Kazuya, Osamu, and Chisato for a mandatory meeting at the principal's office. They breach the room only to find President Todata looking like a literal egg. Bro casually equips his wig and tries to act like a Sigma. Kazuya exposes the glitch, so Kiriha spawns from the bag to explain that this is atonement for the wig demon he created earlier. Since Kiriha was the one to delete the spirit, the system punished the owner, taking away his hair privileges permanently. Todata is officially bald in the head, and probably the legs too. Chisato is low-key terrified that she was one misclick away from losing her own hair meta. Kiriha explains the punishment depends on how toxic your spirit mod was, so everyone's L is different. Todata claims he'll grow it back eventually, then drops the new mission objectives. Apparently, a bathroom ghost named Nago is scaring NPCs in Class 5-1, even though she logged off for good 2 years ago. He wants the squad to play Ghostbusters and find out what's causing this paranormal server lag. Kiriha calls cap on actual ghosts, betting it's just another unhinged spirit born from someone's brain rot. They split up and find out she yeeted herself from the roof without even leaving a final text. She was a quiet NPC, but she started acting super cheerful right before she took the final exit. She was also simping for a boy named Yuichi and was in his fan guild. Her younger sister was basically a cracked student athlete who mogged her. The squad regroups only to hear a toxic 1v1 happening around the corner between 2 girls. One of them is Nanako from the newspaper club, and she gets super hyped for the Ghost Recap content. Osamu realizes the other girl is a Yuichi simp, but Nanako admits she couldn't extract any intel from her. Suddenly, a scream pings the radar as Kosuke jumps out of the bathroom like she just saw a jump scare. The ghost Nago literally walks out and asks for a hidden letter, which is some creepypasta energy. Kazuya tries to use his combat mod, but she dodges his frame data and leaps toward him. Before he can react, she despawns, prompting Kiriha to kick his cakes for being a slow-ass bot. Meanwhile, Nanako is out here glailing Kazuya's powers, begging for more high-definition action. They drag the witness to the nurse's bay for an interrogation, where Kiriha explains a new enemy type called a kamioni. It's a boss born from the regrets stuck in the hair of a dead person, basically a legendary tier pseudo-kamioni. Chisato asks if there's a human host, and Kiriha confirms that a living person's dark wishes must be powering this glitch. Kazuya realizes destroying it will pack up the host with an atonement debuff. So they grill Kosuke for the full tea on their fan club. She admits they were all simping for Yuichi and agreed to share the loot. But once Yuichi chose Nego, the lobby became toxic as hell. She claims the other girls started bullying Nego like crazy. And the main griefer was a girl named Moritsuki, who also happened to be the one who found the body suspicious much. The squad concludes the ghost is hunting down the entire fan club one by one. Then a council member reveals Nego's sister is also in this school, which is news to everyone. Later in the club room, the squad concludes that the ghost is targeting all the girls in the club. Another council member reveals that Nego's younger sister is also a student here, which Tada finds sus since he's supposed to have every student's data. Turns out her name changed after a divorce, and she's actually Nanako from the newspaper club. Kazuya rushes in and stops her before she can confront Moritsuki. Nanako admits she just wants to find out why her sister decided to yeet herself. Kiriha senses something else is going on under the surface. When they ask about a missing letter, Nanako claims she knows absolutely nothing about it. She points the finger at Moritsuki, believing she's the one who hid the evidence. Moritsuki finally cracks and reveals that Nego distanced herself from Yuichi just to protect the club. But being forced out of the club is what sent her into a deep depression. She got over it eventually and gave them a piece of her mind before deciding to confess to Yuichi. Moritsuki saw her heading for the roof and followed her to apologize for the bullying. But by the time she got there, she only found Nego's shoes and a note. She was so terrified she never read it and hid the note, thinking she was the reason for the incident. Moritsuki brings the letter to Nanako, revealing that after the bullying, a creepy growth with a face appeared on Nego's chest. This thing would say all the dark stuff Nego was too scared to voice herself. It helped her turn her life around, but promised to only leave once her deepest wishes were fulfilled. Her biggest wish was just to go out with her crush, Yuichi. But even after he agreed to a date, the growth claimed she had to stop anyone else from stealing him away. The target was a better version of her, none other than her own younger sister Nanako. The monster told Nego she had to sacrifice her sister, and Nego knew that dark thought was buried deep inside her too. It was becoming impossible for her to resist the monster's influence. So Nego decided to yeet herself off the building to save her sister. Kiriha realizes the Amasogi is still looking to finish the job and tells Kazuya to protect Nanako immediately. Kazuya enters a high-stakes fight, but he's still way too weak for this ghost boss. Kiriha tells him to run, but when he refuses, she guides him on how to finally delete the ghost. Against all odds, he manages to win, and Kiriha gives Nanako a speech about her sister's ultimate sacrifice, telling her she needs to live her life to the fullest for her sister's sake. She also praises Kazuya for handling himself well, but she also beats him up for defying her orders. Elsewhere, the fire goddess Hanhoka attacks her pupil, Sanao, and her Sugumomo Kotsu with a strong attack. Sanao comes out unscathed, proving she's elite tier. She's given the new assignment for malice cleaning. Sanao gets permission to head to Kamioka City to start her duties. Back at school, the squad briefs Todata on the Nanako situation. Kazuya is just glad Nanako didn't have to face any atonement, despite him being the one to crush the Amasogi. Suddenly, Nanako walks in and reveals she can't speak a single word anymore. Everyone is shook because she was fine earlier, but Kiriha explains that sometimes the price of atonement is delayed. Kazuya feels terrible, but she makes it clear she's fine with it since he saved her life. However, Kiriha coldly states it's all Nanako's own fault before dipping out, leaving the whole room in a state of confusion. After school, Kazuya tries to be the good boy NPC and scolds Kiriha for being so rude to Nanako, but she just brushes it off and demands more pudding loot. Just then, vine boom, Kazuya catches a stray punch to the jaw, looking up to see a new baddie named Sanao. She starts throwing hands immediately, so Kiriha has to spawn out of the bag to ask why she's griefing our main character. Sanao tells her to stay muted and keeps attacking, initiating an absolute banger of a fight that's higher quality than your internet connection. Even though Kiriha thinks she has the high ground, Sanao hits a speed glitch, humbles her, and decks Kazuya in the face again for the clout. She roasts him for being a zero or a loser before turning to leave, but Kiriha is salty and tries to land a devious backstab. Suddenly, her sword simp Kotsu jumps out to block the hit, leaving our duo catching lacking in 4K. Sanao flames her own tool for interfering and forces him back into a katana skin because she's a toxic team leader who hates fun. After the flex, Sanao reveals she's just here to stat check their skills and see if they're actually built for this server. She starts grilling Kazuya for being a little wimp despite being the server's janitor, claiming he's too mid to ever replace the OG raid boss, Kanaka. But our boy's brain is currently lagging and he doesn't remember a thing. Once she mentions Kanaka was his mom, he finally gets a 1080p flashback of seeing her in a dream. Kiriha demands to know her source, but Sanao tells her to touch grass and says she needs to report this logic error to the local god. Since they're all in the same Discord server, Kiriha drags them back to Kukuri's base, where the lowly goddess tries to farm some aura, but just ends up getting cyberbullied by Kiriha instead. Sanao admits she saw Kazuya using those mommy hacks against the bathroom ghost earlier this season. She pulls up some old logs, finding out Kanaka logged off for good and left her legendary belt to her low-spec son. So Sanao asks the goddess for a 1v1 duel against Kazuya, and Kukuri, being an absolute agent of chaos, gives her the green light. Sanao drops the law that the region's MVP gets the cleanser title, and she thinks Kazuya's KD ratio is too trash for the role. She claims he's more useless than an NPC in a cutscene, and definitely doesn't deserve the moderator status. She calls herself the better candidate and demands a duel for the admin rights, leaving our boy shook and questioning his life choices. Rewind a few levels, Sanao's brother Su got packed up, so she begged the fire goddess Hinoka for some Peter W weapons to avenge his account. The fire mommy told her to skedaddle because her brother lost a fair 1v1, meaning her current combat power was at a literal 0. Which basically meant she'd get deleted the second she stepped into the PvP zone. The goddess tells her to stop being a Goone for revenge and just live a happy, normal NPC life. Her brother only joined the Cleanser Guild to protect her from the lag. He died like a legend, and the goddess wants Sanao to stop crashing out over a fair defeat. But Sanao goes home and starts speedbagging Kotsu's soul, which is some aggressive motivation to grow their stats together through the power of toxic friendship. She heads into the woods using her sword radar to find the boss that deleted her brother, only to run into Kanaka, who one-shots it like a total smurf. Sanao tries to jump Kanaka in a fit of rage, but Kiriha humbles her real quick and knocks her offline. When Sanao respawns, Kanaka gently asks why she's tweaking, and the girl spills all the salty lore. She starts crashing out because Kanaka stole her revenge kill and took all the XP for herself. So Kanaka tells her to looksmax her strength and duel her once she's reached a higher level. For years, Sanao kept challenging the raid boss, but kept taking massive L's every single time. She even joined a specialized university for cleansers, but by the time she graduated, Kanaka had already logged off for good. Sanao admits that while she was out for blood, she actually admired Kanaka's god-tier skills and W-Riz. Now she wants to be the successor and challenges Kazuya to a high-stakes match for the crown. Kiriha accepts the challenge while being violently mad, but Kazuya is over here looking like his will to live just caught a permanent ban. Next day, Kazuya is in full emo mode, refusing to leave his bed to start the training arc. He starts crying about how his negative aura is hurting everyone around him, thinking the server would be better if he just Alt F4D his life. Kiriha reminds him of his duty, but he thinks Sanao should just take the W since her stats are way higher. This pisses Kiriha off, so she literally strips his plot armor and crawls under the blanket for a very unprofessional pep talk. She cuddles up and tells him that camping in his room isn't going to fix his broken game. She calls him a coward for running away, while Bro tries to claim he's just being selfless so no one else catches in it. He thinks Kiriha is tired of his zero-skill gameplay. But Kiriha literally crushes his jewels to reset his brain and tells him she'd never ditch her favorite bot. She swears she'd stand by him even if he went full Eren Yeager and tried to rumble the whole world. She admits her whole existence is tied to him and she'd be lonely as hell if his character model ever got deleted. Kazuya finally stops tweaking and promises to lock in as the server's official janitor. Suddenly, bam, a legendary flashbang hits the room, and Kiriha finally gets her baddie height back. She celebrates by showing Kazuya exactly what those hands can do, pause, for training purposes obviously. She reminds him Sanao leaked all her moves just to keep the fight fair, giving them exactly 1 week to fix his trash stats. She admits the other girl is currently a whole tier above him. But she goes full cowgirl mode, promising he can hit that if he manages to secure the W. Just then, Kasumi and Kyukuri barge in and drag Kiriha away, leaving poor Kazuya high and dry. Later, they're back at the bridge doing range checks with the Obi, actually hitting some success for once. Kiriha analyzes Sanao's kit, noting that even though a katana has short range, she's got a broken moveset. She's got a wind slash and a ground tracer that gives her an unfair advantage in a toxic lobby. Plus, Kiriha is literal cloth and Kotsu is a blade, so that little runt can easily chop her into pieces if he connects. Chisato realizes Sanao is the meta pick here, but Kiriha has a devious ace up her sleeve that's about to break the game. Meanwhile, Sanao is sparring with the fire goddess and actually hanging in there like a pro. She tells the mommy she has a 0% chance of taking an L because Kazuya is weaker than Yamcha after a bad day. She's already memorized his mother's old techniques, so she's feeling like a main character. But Kotsu is actually using his brain cells and asks for permission to drop some facts. Sanao tells him to stay muted, but the goddess lets him cook, and he points out Kazuya must have passed the admin's test for a reason. He begs her not to underestimate the protagonist, but Sanao thinks Kazuya only won his last match because he was hard camping behind a wall. She thinks his wall weave skill is trash because it leaves him completely immobile, which is a death sentence against her high-speed katana build. She orders Kotsu to stop thinking and just be her tool, while the fire goddess realizes the boy is actually spittin'. That night, Kiriha bullies Kazuya into a co-op bath session, but bro is still dying of cringe because he's a virgin. She tells him to stop being a gooner and explains that Kyukuri made some voodoo water dolls to tank all the server damage. This prevents anyone from getting permanently banned during the duel, and once your doll pops, you lose the match. But hold up, the dolls only protect the humans, so Kiriha and the sword boy are still susceptible to getting packed up. To counter this, she can use projections, clones that aren't as strong but can respawn as long as her mana isn't empty. Her physical form can also regenerate. But while she's on cooldown, Kazuya will be left with 0 weapons, so he needs to use his 2 brain cells wisely. He can only manifest 2 clones at a time, so he better choose the right strategy or it's game over. She even tells him to sacrifice her real body if it means securing the dub. She's ready to die for him, but Kazuya is silent for a moment before dropping some main character energy. He says he's not letting his baddie get hurt for a stupid title. He promises to protect her and win the match at the same time, hitting her with that maximum riz. This actually makes Kiriha blush so hard she starts malfunctioning. She immediately pins him down, reminding him that she's the one who does the protecting before popping his coconuts again. After the wrestling, they hit the bed, and she promises him he can pet her kitty for tonight, only as a reward for not being a total bot this week. Later, Kazuya gets another White Room vision where his dream mommy starts laughing at his love life. Kanaka points out Kiriha has always been the shield for her owners, so Kazuya's "I'll protect you" line probably blew her hardware. She's been the one carrying every squad since the server opened. So our boy might actually be winning her over with his smooth talk. Kanaka jokes that Kiriha is definitely falling for him after all the freaky stuff they've been doing, and says he better show her what those fingers can do. She teases him with some unholy illusions, telling him to actually take Kiriha up on her offer for once. But Kazuya is still a beta and says he's fine with how things are right now, no cap. This makes the Vision mommy low-key proud. But she notices her connection is about to time out. Bro asks if she's his actual mother, but she tells him to stop overthinking because the lore is still behind a paywall. But Kanaka tells him to stop overthinking since those memories are still under a heavy seal. The next day, they pull up to the shrine where Kukuri drops the match rules, 3 ways to secure the W. First, yeet your opponent out of the bounds. Rule 2 is to break the opponent's water doll, and Rule 3 is to just quit like a little beachin. The hype is building through their inner monologues, and finally, the goddess initiates the 1v1. Kazuya quickly charges at Tsunao and uses a dummy weave to close the distance, only for Tsunao to hurl him back. He tries the same bait again, but when she tries to delete his clone, he uses a second projection to land a frame-perfect hit on her hitbox. The fire goddess shows up as a mini-doll to spectate, and she's genuinely shook that this loser actually has some moves. Sano catches on to his trickery real quick, so he switches up the meta, creating a tangled ball that she's never seen before. She ignores her sword's warning, charges in, and takes a massive sledgehammer to the gut that sends her flying through the air. After taking the hit, Sano finally locks in and starts blocking all of his tricky attacks. She manages to find an opening, lands a hit on Kazuya and puts him back on defense. Turns out she can look-smack her attack range by lowering the power. Talk about a devious play, animerecap. Kazuya is forced to deploy the real Obi to block her insane offensive. But after taking massive damage, the baddie disappears to recharge, leaving our boy with 0 defense and 1 life left. Even as Sano pulls up to finish his subscription, Kazuya refuses to let Kiriha take the hit because he's a certified simp for his own belt. Just as the sword swings for his head, Bro unlocks a new skill called Handweave Watershed, completely parrying the attack like he's playing a frame-perfect Sekiro run. The goddesses are shook by his high IQ play, and before Sano can even process her failure, Kazuya lands a counter that leaves her water doll hanging by a thread. Realizing she's 1 tap away from the lobby, the baddie tries to tactical retreat. But Kazuya chases after her like a hungry pit bull to secure the W. However, he fumbles the bag and takes a hit too, so now both of these losers are 1 HP away from a permanent ban. As they reset the match, Kiriha warns him he can only block 2 more times, while Sano realizes she has to get close to pack him up for good. Suddenly, the fire mommy declares Kazuya the winner because they're stuck in a stalemate, giving Kiriha a chance to recover her baddie energy. Hanoka leaks that she used her ultimate Skyfer on Sano during the tutorial, and she deflected it easily, proving she's a certified menace. She thinks Sano is too cracked to lose, but the lowly goddess Kukuri knows our boy has that main character plot armor. Meanwhile, Kiriha tells him to play like a coward on defense, but he refuses because he wants to beat her at 100% power. When asked what his deal is, he says he's going to prove that laundry is more than just a tool, closing the gap and leaving Sano confused as to why he's throwing his lead. Seeing he's locked in, she preps her winged cutter ultimate, and things are about to get unhinged. But hold up, Kazuya fuses with Kiriha to unlock Divine Possession, a legendary hack that only works if you're actually down bad for your spirit weapon. This literally gives Kazuya Ultra Instinct Aura. So when the cutter comes for his neck, he uses the Obi armor to deflect it like an absolute boss. They lock into an epic 1v1 brawl for what feels like an hour until Kazuya breaks the sword boy's guard. He then launches the coiling serpent palm strike, deleting Sano's HP and shattering her voodoo doll into pixels. Kukuri calls the match, and Kiriha spawns out of the bag to smack his cakes as a reward for the carry. Sano is tweaking about her sword boy's life, but the fire mommy says he'll respawn after a short nap. She also tells her that Kazuya could have easily uninstalled the sword boy's existence, but chose the honorable route instead. Finally humbled, Sano bows like a good little loser and ejects from the area. Kazuya is shocked she actually cared about her weapon, but Kiriha explains she's just a massive closet tsundere. Kukuri jokes that the win was pure luck, but Kiriha argues they were just farming for entertainment value. Amidst the yapping, Kazuya's hardware crashes from exhaustion and he's out of commission until nightfall. Kiriha admits the UI mode fusion has some nasty side effects, but promises he'll respawn soon. Kukuri asks if Kiriha would have protected him if he fainted mid-fight, and she admits she would have been a total bot because her battery was dead. She reveals that the fusion move was basically an untested beta version, and they just YOLO'd it. Just as the sister calls for food, the goddess starts feeding Kazuya by hand like he's her pet. When the sister asks why he's a vegetable, the girls cap about it, making her think they milked his sausage until it broke. Seeing this, Kiriha suggests a manual cleanup for our boy, and the goddess agrees to the co-op mission. They decide he needs a warm bath for those sore muscles. Kazuya tries to skip the hygiene check, but Kiriha roasts him for smelling like a sweaty Discord mod. Kukuri gets all moist and shy, so Kiriha equips a blindfold on the boy to make the scene extra kinky. They start scrubbing his back as a thank you for the epic server victory. Once that's done, Kiriha flips him over and orders the goddess to polish his Excalibur. The goddess turns redder than a fire alarm. But she remembers his hard work and deletes the last of his plot armor, exposing his legendary weapon in full attack mode. After the fanservice concludes, Kukuri logs off to sleep first, so Kiriha decides to reward Kazuya by letting him hit it all night long. Next morning, the goddess wakes up to find them armorless and starts crashing out like a total Karen. So Kiriha just uses her obi to restrain her and keep her muted. The sister rushes in to protect her bro, who has zero memory of the night because his brain was literally offline. Kazuya heads to school, while the girls stay behind to plan their next devious world domination move. Meanwhile, Sanao's mommy is violently roasting her for losing to a Zero or a boy and letting her sword take damage. Since she failed the vibe check, her inheritance is officially deleted from the database. To get her status back, she has to either unalive Kazuya or, get this, marry the loser. Both options sound like a nightmare for this toxic tsundere bum. Back at the shrine, the base is broken again and the squad is broke as hell. The part-time job isn't paying for the server maintenance. They consider begging the nasty freak Taguri for more cash, but Kokuyo says she'd rather go to jail than deal with that weirdo. At school, the rumors are flying about a new transfer baddie joining the lobby today. Shiro is already rendering her with bazookas bigger than Everest until the teacher kills the vibe. But then the door opens and boom, Kiriha walks in, officially joining the classroom. From sentient laundry to a desk neighbor, Kazuya is just glad he's finally got an actual baddie by his side. That is the end of this unhinged recap. Spam the comments if you want part 2 and stop being a lurker. Smash that like button if you're a real one and check out the videos on your screen.